Hello and welcome. You're listening to the Healthy Moving Podcast, the show that empowers you to exercise less, but move more so you will feel better. I am your healthy moving enthusiast, Jen Hoffman from healthymoving.com. You've probably heard before that stress impacts your body, but what you might not appreciate is that your body can also impact your stress. It's one thing to read a research study or even to hear a healthy moving educator like myself tell you about the connection between stress and your body. But it's quite another thing, a more powerful thing, to hear a personal story. I am thrilled that in today's show, Lauren, a member of the Healthy Moving community, will be here to share her story about stress and her body. We're also going to share a very simple pose that you can do right now to help reduce your stress. Okay, before we get started, I have two quick community announcements. Yes, right now, the 2016 Summer Olympic Games are happening in Rio, but the self-care Healthy Moving Olympics are also happening over on the Healthy Moving Facebook page. That's facebook.com/Healthy Moving. Be sure to check out, there's going to be 6 events over the course of the Olympics, all simple steps you can take to really get a gold medal in self-care. And the second announcement is about the No Time Exercise Solution class. You've heard me talk about it before, but I want to tell you what Becca had to say about it. Becca sent me an email a couple of weeks ago where she said, "Jen, I've been listening to the podcast for the past year. I absolutely love all the things you say, but I have a confession to make. There's been a big gap between what I hear you say and what I actually take action on in my life. I finally signed up for the No Time Exercise Solution class last week, and I am pumped. I know I'm finally going to be able to close that gap. Thank you so much." Friends, I know how it goes. I listen to a lot of amazing podcasts, and I think, oh, that's great. I want to do that in my life too. But life is busy and chaotic and so many things to distract us. The No Time Exercise Solution class is all about taking action. Of course, I talk about it in the context of movement and exercise, but everything I teach in that class, my 4-step system, it applies to any kind of personal change you're desiring to make in your life. To get yourself registered for that class, head to healthymoving.com/free class, or you can text "no time" to 33444. All right, on with the show. Okay, I am so incredibly grateful to Lauren for joining us and so excited for everyone to hear Lauren's story. As you all know, I have been excited to be bringing on some members of our community to share some of their experience with what happens in their life as they weave healthy movement into the fabric of their day. And when I was chatting with Lauren about her story and what she thought she would like to share with all of you, I decided to have her on for the entire show because Lauren is going to share with us something that I think we all can benefit from hearing. And that is really getting into and unpacking some information about the connection between how we move our body and how we feel in our body and stress. I think we all know that stress takes a physical toll on the body, but Lauren has kind of a personal story to help us really understand that a little bit more clearly. So thank you for joining me, Lauren.
Thank you so much for having me, Jen. I'm really grateful to be here. Thank you.
I really appreciate that. I know talking about some of this stuff can be kind of heavy, and I really appreciate you being so open and vulnerable with the audience. I know that it's going to bless people and help them. So thank you so much for doing that. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your story?
Sure. So I came to Healthy Moving probably about, I think it was about a year ago, Jen, maybe closer to a year and a half. But really, when I found it, it was one of those things that I was sort of blindsided by the fact that it was everything I had been looking for that I didn't know I needed. I had sort of been through this harrowing journey since 2010. I went through a really awful breakup that involved losing friends as well as the guy. And at the same time, my dad was diagnosed with MS. And so, that was something that really took its toll. I was 25 years old. I was sort of in this place of trying to figure out my career path and what I wanted to do next. And then there was this huge upheaval that took place. And I didn't realize what was happening on a larger scale, but I knew that I was feeling some sort of profound separation between my body and my brain that I hadn't really felt before in my entire life. I went to school for theater. So the connection between the mind and the emotions and the body was something that I had trained in. And because I had left that career and because I was, trying to find the next thing that I was going to head towards, I started to feel this separation in a very big way. And it was my body and my brain each protecting the other from this upheaval. And what happened was I ended up developing, it wasn't anything that I ended up getting diagnosed, but I could feel almost like there was a callus in my solar plexus. Like I could feel a separation there, and it sometimes would feel a little like heartburn and sometimes just would make me queasy. But I started to realize that my body was reacting to the emotions, and I really didn't seek help. And I think that, I was trying to fight my way through it. I was trying to be strong because I knew I could be strong, and I really didn't let myself deal with things as fully as I probably should have. And so, year later, 2 years later, I'm in a great relationship. We're engaged, obviously new guy, better guy, upgraded. And, these wonderful things are going on. I've decided to start my own business. So there's a lot of excitement, but there's also a lot of hard work and planning. So, all of the bad habits that I'd gotten in of ignoring my emotions and not working through them and not figuring out how it manifested in my body. Now it was flipped to the positive side, but it was still stressful, just in a different way. And what ended up happening is I put on a lot of weight. I probably gained, and not on my frame, I probably gained about 15 pounds in about a year. And I'm 5'1", so it shows. And, I'm headed down the aisle. So white is not the most slimming color. So, mentally I'm having this battle with myself. I was working with a personal trainer in a gym and doing all the right things, air quotes, right things, except looking at that beast of the emotions in the face. And so this ended up going on basically, Jen, until I found your program. And I have had such body image issues that have come out of that. That's manifested in some confidence issues, of course. Being an online entrepreneur, there's a lot of video. And so when you don't like the way you look, and then you're filming, and then you're editing, and then you're putting it out there for the world to see, there's a lot of things that get tied up in that. And honestly, just finding your program and finding a safe place to explore all of that through movement, it really brought together kind of my past and my present in a really beautiful, harmonious way, and allowed me to explore these things that I didn't really feel comfortable exploring on my own. I would also argue that I didn't know I needed to make that connection.
Yeah.
And so you've been such a lovely guide through that whole process.
Thank you so much.
I couldn't be more grateful.
Oh, I am so grateful for you. And it's just absolutely all I'm doing is helping kind of hold up a mirror and let you guys see and find your way. But what I love about what you said is that it puts a real tangible picture on something that I talk about frequently, which is that we're disconnected from our body and we don't even know it. Mm-hmm. You had your background where you kind of knew that something was happening, but once you got beyond that, kind of once the quote unquote callus formed, it's like you become numb and then you're able to ignore it. And so many of us, I mean, we get to that point of being disconnected from our body because of stress, because we are stressed. So it's like it numbs off, and then we have to give all of our attention to whatever it is that's completely stressing us out. And we completely neglect ourselves. And often I think what happens is that we get so kind of in our head and when we're there, we can't even find the way back. We live in this constant state of fight or flight, this constant state of stress going from one thing to the other. And it's almost like we become kind of trapped in that pattern. And so often I gently try to encourage people that your body can be the way back. How you're moving your body can be the way to take you back from that ledge of that just constantly stressed. I loved also what you said about the good things in life can be stressful too. Like sometimes, sometimes I'm talking to people and they're like, my kids are healthy. They're all really active in school. I'm so blessed in that department and I have a great job. And I don't know why I feel so stressed because all this stuff I'm looking at, I should be happy. I should be feeling good, but I'm not. And I feel emotionally stressed and I don't feel connected to my body, right? Or I'm not really aware of what's going on with my body. That is such a common pattern. And I would love for you to share what were some of your favorite kind of exercises that you did that helped bring you back, that helped you kind of unblock that blockage that was there, keeping your mind and your body kind of separate. What were some of the things that you did that really helped?
Honestly, Jen, I think the first thing that helped was just going through the motions. I don't think I would have found the connection if I hadn't done a challenge. That was where I started to, I think, reopen those pathways. You always talk about like creating those pathways between your brain and muscles. Dancing kneecaps is tough.
Yes.
And so giving me something to work on to realize, oh, I've lost that. Like, I've lost that connection. And the way you teach it is so like, and that's normal. Like, don't beat yourself up about it. You know, it's, to me, that was the first step of just doing the motion, just getting out of my darn chair. I did not realize I was sitting for 4 hours straight. Like, I'm a workhorse and I will sit down and I will get in it and I won't move. And I finally bit the bullet and got a Fitbit and it buzzes every hour. And I'm always shocked at how fast that hour comes. Just getting up and walking to the kitchen and coming back with a glass of water started to change the patterns in a gentle way so that I could start to see the bigger picture.
I love that. It's so powerful because if you're not familiar with what we do in the challenges, what Lauren's talking about is that she was just trying to take one little step every day. It wasn't that she was like, oh, here's a 20-minute workout that I have to do 3 to 5 times a week. She was in the challenges I give one exercise that takes less than 2 minutes to do. And I suggest doing it 3 to 5 times throughout the day. And I also always share ways that you can integrate it in with your life. So do this one while you're waiting for your tea kettle to boil, or, you know, all these little things that you're already doing throughout your day, because when you're so disconnected, setting this big grandiose thing of I'm going to get to the gym 3 to 5 times a week. It's like impossible. It's like asking you to start running a marathon when you haven't done anything and any training. And really it's these tiny, tiny steps of like, okay, today I'm going to get up every time the Fitbit buzzes and I'm going to go get a glass of water. Like, that is such a small, simple step. Everybody can integrate that in their life. Please don't sit for longer than 90 minutes consecutively. At least stand up and do a quick stretch every 90 minutes. But something so simple is a powerful way to begin. Don't try to say to yourself, oh, I'm going to do this big, huge overhaul routine. Just start with something super small. After you had one challenge under your belt, how did things go from there, Lauren?
It's progressively got better. The way you teach it, I can go a little bit deeper each time if I'm not really feeling it. If I'm feeling a little like I'm not quite there. Like I can back off if I need to. The thing that you mentioned before about how stress impacts us. Like I said, I was kind of a workhorse. I would try and power through with high intensity stuff. And that made the problem worse. It exacerbated when I was in my lowest lows and my highest highs. It really made it so much more dramatic, and I could feel the adrenaline. Like I had all these thoughts of like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? And I have not thought that through this entire process. I've always thought, today is just not the day for that. And I can come back to that tomorrow. And I've not been perfect. I've missed full weeks, but it's so inviting to come back to a place where you're always accepted to just be where you are. That to me has really, I think, made the difference, made this the thing that I stuck with. And it's a great sense of accomplishment to even, it's kind of funny to say, even when I fell off the horse, it was still an accomplishment because I came back.
Yes. I always say, like, it's not really that you fall off the horse from what you're learning, because you might fall off the horse and say, I'm not doing this particular day of the challenge when we're doing a specific challenge. Mm-hmm. But what we're doing is figuring out how to do your life in a way that uses more muscles and puts less wear and tear in your joints. So if you don't do the particular challenge exercise today, but you've done it for the past 3 weeks, you've learned how to do all the things you have to do throughout the day in a way that uses more muscles and puts less wear and tear in your joints. So you can't fall off the wagon from that. Like, you already learned it. You already made it a new motor program. It's already automatic that you're bending over to get the dishes out of the dishwasher in a new way, that you're, standing up and walking away from your desk a couple times. Like, all those different things, they just become part of your routine. That's why I love the image. I always say weaving it into the fabric of your day, because it just becomes a part of you and a part of your lifestyle. So you may not do it when we're doing a challenge, you may not do that day's particular exercise 3 to 5 times throughout the day, but don't worry, you'll catch it on the next one. I always tell people not to stress out over that. But I just love that kind of progression helped pull you back into connection with your body. And then how would you say that has impacted your stress? Like, getting that connection back between your mind and your body, how has that impacted both that kind of residual stress that was living with you, and then also how you're handling stress as it comes up, because life continues to bring new stresses. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh, yeah. It definitely does. So, I think having rituals is really helpful. It's, like I said, I'm kind of a workhorse. So to have something to unwind at night is very helpful. So we're readers. We are reading at least 15, if not 30 to 45 minutes before bed every night. So while I'm laying in bed, I'll do a SOAS release. And to me, that is unwinding from the day and teeing me up for another great day. Because I do spend an inordinate amount of time sitting. That's still something like my standing desk is happening at some point, but it hasn't happened yet. And so, I use that to help unwind and release, and then set me up for another good day. And that, I think, really has made a huge difference. I look forward to it, where before going to bed was like, I got to go to bed so I can wake up again. So it's nice to have a little bit of separation. I have problems with boundaries, so it's nice to have that separation. In the middle of the day too, Jen, like when something happens, my impulse, just who I am and how I'm wired, my impulse is to lean into it. I'm getting a lot better at stepping back and going for a quick walk. I've got a little dog. She put her on the leash. Around the block we go. And it's great. I get outside more. I do know I'm vitamin D deficient, so that's a good thing. And, I'm blowing off some steam. It gives my brain some time to process whatever's come up. And when I come back, I usually have the solution, and it's as simple as 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be a huge thing, but I wasn't doing it before. So it's 10 minutes I've reclaimed.
People are always so concerned about how it's going to impact their productivity and their creativity if they get up, because they just believe like, if I just keep sitting there, I can like get on top of it. It's like I always have the image when someone's saying that to me of the hamster and the hamster wheel. Like, I'll just get there if I just keep running. But stepping away for a moment, not only do you get the physical kind of benefits of that, our muscles and our joints and everything like that, but the physical movement, it gives you a new perspective. It gives you, I think it's like a surge to creativity. And I hear from people over and over that it helps their productivity and their creativity to step away and take breaks periodically. I want to talk everybody through the psoas release because I'm so glad you mentioned it. If you are stressed and if you feel disconnected from your body, this is the one to start with. The psoas is really the mother muscle inside of you that I think pays the biggest price. One of them that pays the biggest price for our stress. And I think people often think, oh, I carry my stress in my neck and shoulders. And I understand why people say that, because their body position while they're stressed does impact their neck and shoulders. But a lot of us have a whole bunch of tension living in the psoas. And if you want to look it up, if you haven't heard of this muscle before, it's PSOAS, living in the psoas. It connects, I like to say it connects the top of you to the bottom of you. It doesn't really have that job function, but it runs from the lower thoracic, upper lumbar, and down through the pelvis and attaches at the front of the femur, at the front of the thigh. So it is a huge muscle, and a lot of our emotional stress and tension is there. I don't know if this has happened to you, but I always like to tell people, if you are stressed, then you might have an emotional release when you're in the psoas release. That's normal and A-okay. Let it come and let it happen. People say, I started crying in the psoas release. What should I do? I always say, you should cry. You should laugh. You should, whatever happens for you emotionally there, you should just let it happen, because I really think that this is where a lot of us carry our stress. And like Lauren said, it's a great one to do at the end of the day. And oftentimes I'll do it while I'm reading or if I'm watching TV. Sometimes I do it just quietly while I'm kind of having some meditation or prayer time. But it's really wonderful for just adding at the end of your day, 5, 10, 15 minutes of it. So how you do the psoas release is you put a bolster of some kind. I like a firm bolster. So I know a lot of people have a sleeping bag somewhere up in their attic. If you can pull out, if you don't have an official yoga bolster, a rolled up sleeping bag works really well. Generally a bed pillow is okay, but it's pretty soft. Most people have pretty soft. But you want to put the bolster underneath the top of your shoulder. So it's right at the top of your back and your head. Sometimes you might want to put another little extra bolster on top of that for your head and neck. And then you can start with your knees bent and the soles of your feet on the ground so that your ankles are directly under your knees. Your shins are vertical and your rib cage is hanging in the air. When you first start, if you have a lot of psoas tension, your rib cage is going to be quite a ways away from the floor. But as you hang out here, and you're not trying to pull the ribs to the floor, you're just allowing gravity to do its work and to gently relax the ribs toward the floor. But ideally, you'd hang out here until the back of your lower ribs are completely on the floor. And then if you like, you can work to straighten the legs out. Ideally, you would be bolstered high enough that if your legs are straight, the back of your hamstrings is completely on the floor. But you'll have to play around with what kind of props you're using. I will make a video of this available in the show notes for this episode over at healthymovingpodcast.com so that you can kind of see the full description. I want that to be kind of a little lifeline to anyone who is listening who's feeling that heavy burden of stress and feeling just disconnected from their body and not sure where to go. The psoas release is really my first kind of number one start here suggestion. All right, Lauren, I am so incredibly grateful for you for making the time to share and being vulnerable and so generous in sharing of your heart and your story with the listeners. I know it will help some people. I would love to have everybody hear just a tiny bit about what it is you do. You mentioned that you started a business, and I know since then you've started another little business. So can you talk a little bit about what you do and where people can find you?
Absolutely. So I am a nerd and I really like standardized tests, which is, maybe borderline an illness. But I started an online test prep company. So I help students get ready for the ACT and SAT over at higherscorestestprep.com. I was pursuing that with another company while I was pursuing acting in LA, fell in love with it, and have kind of taken it full tilt. So I have a podcast about college admissions called The College Checklist. So if your student needs help getting into college, that's an interview-based show. I have a lot of great experts come on and share their expertise. So that would be definitely useful to your moms and dads in the audience if they have college-bound kiddos.
Love that.
And then over on the Lauren Gaggioli side, that is where I started a brand new podcast called The Unsexy Side, where I talk about some of this stuff that stresses you out as an entrepreneur. I think there's a lot of, business is shiny and amazing out there, and it's that's not necessarily always true. And I want to bring.
I have no idea what you're talking about. It's all roses over here running Healthy Moving.
Yes, Jen, I've gotten your text late at night. My plugin isn't working.
I know. Technology. Oh my goodness.
Right? And that's, I think, the thing. Like, we love the stuff we do. I'm a test prep nerd. You're a body nerd. But we love that stuff. But the things you have to deal with to get that out to the world, it's sometimes a bit harrowing. So
that is for sure.
Talking about that at the unsexy side, and I'm just open to the journey there. And I think getting myself in a better frame of mind was one of the reasons I could open that door and say yes to that opportunity. It was something I was sitting on for a really long time, but I needed to get higher scores to where it is, and now I'm excited for this other adventure as well. So we'll see where it all leads.
Well, I absolutely love it. And I know we have some people in the community who also pursue business in this online world. So I would highly recommend, if you want someone to tell you like it is, in the most encouraging way. I've listened to the first few episodes of The Unsexy Side, and it is absolutely encouraging and inspiring and honest. And that is not always the quality in people who are helping you with running an online business. So I definitely encourage people to check that out. And my kids are too young for higher scores currently. I'm not sure at second grade, my oldest, I need to be quite worried yet, but I probably should.
She's
be
very
listening.
advanced.
She is advanced. She's advanced, but I probably should be listening. But I know we also have a lot of homeschool families in the community, and Lauren has definitely worked with a lot of homeschool families. So
I love homeschoolers. You guys are the best.
So be sure to check out both of her podcasts. All right, Lauren, thank you so much, and thank you everyone for listening. Okay, friends, that's all for today. Don't forget to be a part of the Healthy Moving Olympics. Just make sure you click like on the Healthy Moving Facebook page and kind of pop in there. There'll be a new event every couple of days during the Olympics, so pop in there periodically over the next few weeks. I would be so grateful if you helped spread the word about the podcast. You can do that by subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show over in iTunes. That helps new people find the show, and I really appreciate your honest feedback and your honest review. And you can also share the link to your favorite episode with your peeps. The links for sharing are over at healthymoving.com/podcast. Thanks for doing that and for listening. Until next time, friends, keep moving.